metal arm? That is awesome, dude. You have the right to remain silent! Hey guys, you ever seen that really old movie? Empire Strikes Back? Where they're on the snow planet? With the walking thingies!
Alright, let's get into our spoiler review of Spider-Man Homecoming. Again, spoilers if you haven't seen it or you don't give a shit. Whatever, we're done to talk about the fucking whole movie. Alright, everybody dies.
As always, everybody dies. Including Spider-Man.
Yep,
So
and the end of the series, he's not in Infinity Wars, it was all Rouge.
Yeah. The whole thing.
Or he's Zombie Man now.
Oh, that'd be cool. I guess I think it would be kind of fitting to good segues to talk about the moments that we did laugh at. Pretty hard. I laughed. I don't know why this shows the immaturity, but I laughed at Penis Parker.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, see, that was one of the moments where I was talking about they dragged it out. Like, they called it at one time, 2 times. I was like, all right, it's funny. But then when they go back to Flash Thompson as the DJ, he's like, I say penis, you say Parker, and they kept going on and on.
That's
I'm like,
too much. Yeah.
I was like, you killed it. It was funny. Like, it was kind of gave me a smile the first time.
Yeah.
But then, like, they kept doing it, and I'm like... Ugh.
I think because it was a surprise that I didn't think that's where they were gonna... It's kind of like, Man of Steel Dick Splash, where you're like, kind of catches you off guard a little bit. That's kind of how it was.
There's a character that says Dick Splash. The way you said that was just weird.
Hey, asswipe. What do you think? Did you see the game?
Leave him alone, Pete.
Oh, what, he was his girlfriend? I want to hear what he has to say. Come on, Dick Splash.
You know Man of Steel, Dick Splash? Like,
oh, well, if you've seen Man of Steel, you know what I'm talking about.
Well, you've seen it 100 times. Not everybody realizes that right away.
True. But yeah, I think it caught me off guard a little bit. So I thought that was kind of funny. Spider-Man, I can't remember exactly what he's doing, but there's a part where it's like right at the beginning, and he's kind of like swinging through things. It's still daylight, and he's on top of a building, and he crashes randomly.
He just drags across the building.
Right.
That was kind of funny.
Yeah, most of the time that's like abrupt humor that I don't really care for, but that I think worked. I thought that was pretty funny.
One of the best scenes, I think I don't know. I thought it was one of the funniest things was the suit. So when the suit becomes interactive with him, I thought that was kind of cool. I thought that was really funny as well. All the little things that she's telling him and stuff. But when they do the interrogation mode,
yeah, that was fantastic.
Interrogation mode was definitely, I would probably say, the best part of the movie. When he just comes out, where are they getting the weapons? It sounds like they're doing a Batman joke.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, it almost seemed like it.
And the guy, Danny Glover's character, Aaron Davis, is just looking at him like, really? Like, I guess you haven't done this much. And he's like, I recognize a woman's voice, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What? I'm a boy.
I mean a man.
And he's just, that part was pretty fucking funny. And then, like, when he's trying to talk normal, and it still has the voice, like, oh well. That part was terrific. I thought that was great. That one definitely had me laughing pretty hard.
Yeah, and then the gym teacher next to the TV. Not only is he standing in the wrong spot, for the TV, but then he has the line, "You say it better." So go ahead.
Well, Hannibal Buress, he played in Baywatch. We saw him in Baywatch, and then he was in this one, and he just plays that same deadpan character. And he won. Yeah, like you said, he's standing in the wrong place because Cap points to one side and he's on the other side.
So that's the start of the joke.
And then he's like, I'm pretty sure he's a war criminal, but oh well. And he just pushes the TV away.
Doesn't give 2 shits. Yeah. Both of his scenes made me laugh so much. Like when he's in the detention and he's like, wait, no, come back.
Where are you going? Wait, you don't even have detention. He's talking to the one chick. I just like drawing people that are in like despair or something like that. Or miserable.
Yeah, miserable despair. Look, it's you.
He just shows him. He's like, eh.
I think what was so funny is I feel like we had several teachers at our high school that were like that.
Yeah.
Especially PE teachers who don't give 2 shits. So like, fuck, what am I doing?
No, Mr. Murphy.
Yeah.
Fucking
exactly.
Dude didn't give a fuck.
Exactly.
What about you, Bob? What is some of the funny parts that you thought were funny?
No, I think you guys definitely called out the best ones. Yeah, Hannibal is an incredibly talented comedian in everything he's in. So yeah, like he shined in all the little moments he had. Yeah, the interrogation, I laughed out loud. All of like the Hannibal moments, I laughed out loud. The Captain America bit I thought was hilarious. Like that was getting me every time. Another moment I laughed out loud was, but probably because I when I daydream about being Spider-Man, which I do all the time, walking down the streets of New York City, I'm always just wondering what angles I would take if I was webbing across these skyscrapers.
Yep, makes sense.
I always do wonder of like, fuck, it would suck to be Spider-Man like in a suburb with like no skyscrapers, and so I really enjoyed that scene when he was trying to web, to the guys doing like the deal under the bridge at night, and he was like running because he like couldn't web onto anything, and he was just like running across and they did such a great shot of it where it's like it just showed him running across the entirety of the screen. He's like, oh, this fucking sucks. I like laughed out loud at that.
Yeah, I forgot about that part. I'm actually laughing about it now, especially because Ned, we're into spoiler talk now, right? Yeah. When Ned tells him like, oh, you should kind of test to see how far it shoots. And then like shortly thereafter, you see him running, he shoots it into like the open field. Oh, this sucks.
I meant to actually look this up before we started it, but there's a comedian that made this joke a long time ago, like a while back, and he always made the joke that Spider-Man would never work in any other place, and I talked about this before, any other place than New York City.
Right.
Like he couldn't work in the suburbs, he couldn't work in fucking Iowa and shit, where there's buildings that are only like 2 stories tall and
Right.
shit. Like, he would be taking cabs and buses everywhere and shit. And I did laugh at this because I was like, oh, this is the fucking joke. But again, it was another one that kind of made me like, oh, okay, they're dragging it on too long, because then he does the same thing in Washington, D.C., and he's running down the whole way because he can't web to anything. So he's just running with this backpack on. I'm like, okay, we get it.
Yeah.
Like, he's running a lot, and I was just like, oh, damn it, you killed the first time because now he's doing it again. And
right. Well, I'm kind of getting them confused. Was the one that he's running through all the houses and stuff and like commenting on things?
That was the Ferris Bueller thing.
Yeah, but was that
same exact shit? Actually.
Right? Yeah, I think that was part of the joke. But was that when he was following the criminals?
Yeah.
Okay, so that one, yeah, I think it kind of
that was funny.
It was, but it also went on a little bit too long because towards like the end, I'm like, nah, all right, it's not as funny.
Well,
anymore.
that was like a Ferris Bueller bit, so like I kind of forgave it for going on for so long.
Yeah, true.
And the DC one, wait, remind me, what was happening at DC one exactly? Because if I remember in the moment, like where the one at night in the beginning of the movie, I just like chalked that up to like a Ferris Bueller bit. But the one in DC, was that like more of a serious moment? So maybe like I wasn't really so much thinking like, oh, they're doing this gag again.
Well, the kids are trapped in the elevator because that little glowing alien rock, whatever, from from Avengers 1 was about to blow up because it went through the X-ray machine.
Yeah.
And he's like jumping on a car, and he's jumping on a bus. He's trying to travel, and the computer's telling him Diana or Veronica or whatever the hell. Karen. Yeah, we'll go with that one. It was telling him, giving estimations how far he is, and he's just riding the bus, and then he's sprinting down all the way down to the Washington Monument, like across the, what is that called? The big water. I
think it's a reflection pool. I think.
So he's running down to the Washington Monument, and he's on the phone the whole time, and they have people staring at him as he's running down the way. I kind of felt like it was still part of the same gag because he's on the phone the whole time trying to tell him it's a bomb, and he's running in Washington, D.C., yelling it's a bomb. Yeah, then he gets up there, and I kind of felt like with all the skills that he's showing, all the jumping and he has a spider, it seemed like it took him way too long to get to the top of the fucking monument. It was just kind of another point where it seemed like it dragged out a little too long for me. I don't know.
Maybe it was less of them like comedy and more of them trying to build the moment so much. But yeah, I kind of had the same feeling of it dragging on a little bit too much. And then when he gets up there, then he can't even get into the window. Right. And so it's just different parts like that.
Yeah, the Pentagon thing, I didn't see that as like a comedy bit at all. I think they were just trying to ham up like the suspense of him trying to get there in time. I think I would also imagine Spider-Man, whatever, nitpicking. I thought about this. I wrote down a couple of plot points. That's more of a nitpicking one where I felt like maybe Spider-Man would have been able to get up there faster, but whatever. That wasn't like that much of like a distraction to me to like mess up the movie.
It just felt like he was told a certain amount of time, then the time got... It was just a little simplistic. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
Like he got told he had like 15 minutes by the computer or some shit like that.
Oh,
Then all of a sudden he had 100 seconds, and it just felt like he was up there forever when he had like 100 something seconds to.
I laughed at that because I'm like, oh, they kept the consistency from like Civil War had time issues, Batman v Superman had time issues, where I feel like that's just like a constant thing in action movies that. It just time, they have a short period of time so that the audience is like, oh my gosh, he has to get there so fast. And then really there's several pausing moments where like, holy shit, he got there in 15 minutes, still had a little bit of time to spare, like
one of the famous ones. I know you haven't seen this, but Bob has, but in Dragon Ball Z, there's a part where the Frieza blows up the planet. It says 5 minutes and it becomes like, I don't know, fucking 30 episodes. And it's like 5 or 6 hours of episodes and shit like that, but it was supposed to be 5 minutes. Like, it was
Oh my
before this
gosh.
planet exploded, and it just turns into like this long, dragged out fucking
Oh my
fight
gosh.
forever. And so it was like one of those famous scenes and shit like that.
Wow.
5 minutes, it was like 20 episodes of fucking shit.
Wow.
Before it ever blew
of
up.
all the same
Yeah.
5 minutes?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Before it ever blew up, it was just fucking.
That's crazy. And I thought, I don't know if you guys watch How I Met Your Mother, but the entire last season was done over a weekend.
Yeah.
And because it was, you know, I think Barney and Robin getting married, and but that was one of those that just drug on a lot. I can imagine 5 minutes, especially over several episodes. Going back on the kind of the jokes part, there were certain things, you know, and we talked about it in the non-spoiler part, where they did a pretty good job letting the moments breathe, and they didn't, you know, throw in jokes. But there was one part early on, I told this to Matt when we left the movie, that I loved Michael Keaton. I was going into that excited for Michael Keaton as Vulture, and I felt that he did a fantastic job. The script was perfect for him as far as like kind of building this somewhat relatable villain that you can kind of like, okay, he's at his wit's end. He's just trying to do this for his family, but he's also kind of sadistic, and he's taking it a little bit too far. And in one of the moments where he shoots
Shocker 1.
basically vaporizes the first Shocker, you know, it's kind of like building pretty well, and the Shocker's like, well, you don't want me out there, you know, with all that I know. And he's like, yeah, you're right. And shoots him, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, yeah, that would make sense. I would probably do the same thing, because he's gonna ruin everything, and if you're trying to do this for your family. And then they have the joke where he says, oh, I thought that was the anti-gravity gun, or something along those lines. And that actually angered me, because it was so early in the movie. It bought itself back, I feel like, but it was so early in the movie that I was like, oh, here we go, another fucking, you know, typical Marvel thing where they have to have the joke right afterwards. And just let that happen. Just let it where he's like, well, you're a fucking criminal, and you're working for me. I'm not going to let you ruin this, so I'm going to vaporize your ass, you know, and just kind of move on from that. And then once they get to, you have the other side where, you know, Peter first meets him, and I thought that was a great other, like, he's a family man, and, you know, you see this beautiful house in the suburbs, and
I thought that was fantastic, actually. When Michael Keaton opens the door, and I'm like, ha! He's the dad. I was like, that is great. That was like it's not really a twist. It's not really a twist, but I mean, it's not like it's the most groundbreaking thing of all time.
No, but
I was like, okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. The lady next to me on my side, she was really quiet, but the one thing that she said was, I knew it. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
You saw that? Because and like you said, it's not the most groundbreaking twist. It's been done before, but I didn't see that coming.
No, I didn't see it coming over. I didn't see it coming either.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were all surprised. But well, she's a smart bitch then. But I thought even that scene itself, when you know, you kind of get a different side. I thought he played that pretty well. You got to see kind of him being a father, and you know, in his nice house, and kind of meeting, you know, his daughter's date to homecoming, and everything I thought was played pretty well. And it shows kind of, I mean, not that anyone questioned Michael Keaton's acting ability, but you know, it showed how broad he could be, and he really brought that to this movie, I felt. So that was just one of the jokes that I was angered with, but the rest of the movie did a pretty good job, you know, let some things breathe. There was emotions in a lot of parts, and I thought it worked. So
yeah, no, couldn't agree more. I mean, that qualifies as a twist. Like, most people didn't see that coming. I didn't see it coming. I wasn't expecting it. I mean, when he opened the door, I was like instantly just like 100% into it, and just like holy shit, like kind of on edge, and like and then when they went in, and like, you know, Peter was just like realizing what was happening, and you saw the look on his face, which I think Tom Holland did a great job of acting in that moment.
Yes, absolutely.
And it
because. Sorry to interrupt you, but one of the things, you know, like you're saying, his acting was so spot on, because it could almost be taken, you know, from Michael Keaton. I can't even remember his name other than Vulture, but from
Toombs. I remember his last name was Toombs.
Okay, yeah. So from his perspective, it comes across as, oh, he's just nervous because he's meeting the dad of the daughter that he's taking to homecoming, but he's also nervous because he's like, oh shit, I know who you are. So I thought it was played really well. If you put yourself in Michael Keaton's shoes, or if you put yourself in Peter's shoes, like that, you know, that's how you can take both of those. So yeah, Tom Holland did a fantastic job.
Yeah, fantastic.
So sorry to ruin your flow.
No worries. Like, no worries. Yeah, like because again, he's like a kid. So like in that moment, you saw the reaction of a kid of like, you know, not like outright panic, but just like of maybe like a little bit panic and a little bit like, I don't know what to do. What do I do here? Like kind of like in shock, kind of a panic. Because he's like a 15-year-old and he's like doesn't have like real world, you know, whatever. He's a fucking 15-year-old. Whereas, you know, 45-year-old Tobey Maguire or like 30-year-old Andrew Garfield in that moment probably would have been like staring daggers at Michael Keaton, like, you know, pissed off or something.
Right.
So like again, like it was a great like reaction for a 15-year-old, and yeah, Tom Holland pulled it off great. And like what I also loved about that scene was I found it to be very suspenseful, like because it was like a great jump from like a fun moment. We're going to homecoming and Aunt May's driving and saying cute things and blah blah blah, and then they walk into that high intense moment. So that was like a great juxtaposition, and they pulled it off like it was almost like Quentin Tarantino-esque. Like obviously not quite as dramatic as like a crazy intense Quentin Tarantino scene, but like it was kind of like it was like going for that, and I think it hit it pretty well. Where like it just felt so tense as they were taking photos, talking about homecoming, but like the whole time we all knew what was really happening. Like I thought that was like a great scene.
The car scene.
Yeah, I was about to say the whole lead up to that, from that moment to the car scene, and then when they're sitting outside the gymnasium for homecoming. I thought that was great. Even when he does eventually bust out there and he goes looking for the vulture for Toombs for the dad, I thought that sequence was great.
Yeah.
I thought they did a really good job with that. They didn't ruin it with any stupid humor jokes or anything like that. It stayed serious. It stayed to the tone of what was going on, and I thought they did an excellent job all the way up to. I mean, that from that sequence all the way to the end fight. Yeah, I thought did very well, and they didn't ruin it with anything. I thought that was very, very well done.
Yes, learn from that, because to me, dialogue in the MCU is few and far between, like memorable dialogue. Yeah, and I know some of this was in the trailer, as far as like, you know, where Michael Keaton says, "I'll kill you and everyone you care about." And but there was more to that scene that they built on that made it more memorable. Then even when Spider-Man finds him, you know, and he's down there and he is having the talk with him and just kind of buying enough time so that, you know, his wings can knock down all the pillars and crush Spider-Man. That was so awesome. And like you said, they didn't fucking kill it with a joke. And it really helped the Vulture, you know, kind of add suspense and add to his character, and then to even Spider-Man's. And I was completely expecting when he's saying I'm Spider-Man or whatever, you know, everything crumbles on him, and he's trying to will the power to push everything off. I thought at some point there was going to be a joke. I was fully expecting it, and I'm like, okay, this is going to get corny, and it wasn't. I thought they did a really good job, and, you know, kind of showing his inner willpower, I guess, and his acting was phenomenal. And yeah, I completely agree. That entire sequence through, you know, getting onto the plane and you know, to the end was awesome.
Right. I thought it was great. I thought it was very well done, and I'm glad that it had that, what I guess you would say that's probably like a 20-25 minute span. I thought that was an excellent way to kind of, you know, push the movie along and end the conclusion with the Vulture character and stuff like that. To come to that conclusion, to keep that serious route and kind of give Peter that moment to grow and actually, you know, become Spider-Man more than ever. Yeah. You know, he definitely came into the character at that point, and I thought that was really well done, and that was projected really well. And then the kind of movie, after that, the movie went into its, you know, not fart jokes. It's honk honk, wink wink at the screen type shit. It went back into that, but that moment, that span right there, I thought was excellent. Was so well done, very, very well done.
No, definitely. That's Marvel's problem, is like, you know, making jokes in the middle of fight scenes. Like if in the middle of that car ride, you know, Peter looked out the car and said something, you know, sarcastic, like, "Oh, this is a fun car ride," like it would have ruined the moment. But the fact that like they played it real, they played it serious, like allowed that moment to be real and have an effect on the audience. And actually, if I remember correctly, like from that moment on, like that pretty much like led into like the climax of the movie. I don't remember there being that many other jokes, like, you know,
there was almost none. Yeah, except for the happy guy, the Happy Hogan, the butler or whatever he is, the Super Alfred of Iron Man.
The Super Alfred.
He made a couple comments and stuff like that. But other than that, it was just solid. I thought it was great. I thought it was just so well done. And that moment in the car, like that's like, I think MCU finally nailed a really good iconic moment. Yes. That I think will stick around for a while. I'm not saying they haven't had one, but to me, that one really stands out. When when Keaton just has the gun and he looks at him, he's like, "All right, you saved my daughter's life. And now I saved your life. Yeah. What do you do when someone saves your life?" And he's like, Thank you.
Yeah.
And like he just got
Okay.
whipped
Yeah.
like a dog on that one.
Yeah,
I was just
it was
like,
awesome.
I was like, oh yeah, that's fucking
Yeah.
solid.
I know this isn't the
I got
first.
goosebumps from that.
Yeah.
I know this isn't the first MCU movie to talk about death and killing, but I feel like this one just had so much more weight to it with that scene, and then even you fast forward a little bit and you get the Scorpion in the jail, and I had
Gargan.
okay, yeah, thank you. So I had to write it down when we were waiting for the post credit scenes, but he says, what? Hold on, sorry, looking at my
Want
notes.
to decapitate him and like
Yeah,
put him in the dryer?
he says he wants to slit his throat and throw his head in a dryer.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit, like that's that's pretty dark. And
No fabric softener sheets. He's going hardcore.
Yeah, exactly. Static of the ass. But his hair will be all over the place. But man, I was like, wow, you kind of have that entire build, and then you get that part, and even Michael Keaton, I guess, spares him again because he says, well, if
Or he wants to kill him himself. That's kind of how I took it.
yeah, I didn't think
He
about
wants to
that.
get out and kill him himself.
Yeah, I didn't think
He doesn't
about
want
that.
some paid goons to do it.
Right.
That's how
Yeah.
I took it at first, but then I heard a bunch of people saying, "Oh, he spared his life. He had a heart." I'm like, "Oh." I just took it as he wanted to kill him when he got out.
Yeah. But the scene was awesome. But they've had some dialogue that actually makes you feel a little bit more of like the anger and and kind of the scenes. And I also felt that Spider-Man getting his ass kicked throughout the movie helped. I felt that helped kind of build the underdog. Whether it's the boat scene where he's just struggling, and pretty much almost in every moment he can't really. He tries. He has his own moments. When he's fighting Shocker 2, and getting his ass kicked and thrown through the bus and all sorts of shit. Like I enjoyed that, as sick as it sounds, because I feel that it built kind of the underdog of Spider-Man up a little bit more.
Right.
So I thought those were really well done. Good emotion in those scenes.
No, definitely. I'm like, this is not original. I read this somewhere, but there's a good quote from a critic who said something like, just because you're given superhero abilities, like, doesn't mean like, you're a badass, or like you're an adult, or like you know what to do, or you're always right. Seeing Spider-Man struggle throughout the whole movie, especially we didn't talk about this yet in the beginning sequence. I guess you kind of touched upon it when he just like was webbing around. He like fell into a dumpster, but like you saw him making other mistakes. Like he stopped that guy from getting into his car, but it was his car. He thought it was like a criminal. And,
Right. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
and it like pissed off a bunch of people. And then he did something else that was a mistake. Like he kept making mistakes because he's an inexperienced 15-year-old. And so like again, they just really did so well there. And this is why like I'm very very happy with this Spider-Man movie overall. I mean, I've got some gripes about it, some plot holes, which I'm sure we'll segue into in a little bit. But overall, like I really thought they did a great job.
I think we'll segue into right now. I think let's talk about some of our negatives. I'm going to start off with mine. We kind of vented this a little bit in the beginning in the non-spoilers, but the supporting cast. I've seen a lot of people actually really like this chemistry between Ned or Zed or whatever the kid's name was.
Ned.
Yeah, I did not like him at all. I thought he was a dumb character, very annoying, just blurting things out all the time, and I just did not like the sequence or the interaction between him and Spider-Man or Peter Parker, however you want to call it. But I did not like it at all. And a lot of the other ones, I thought the Flash character was really dumb. Like he's a DJ, he's smaller than Peter.
But he's a bully.
Yeah, but he's supposedly a bully, and he's like, "I'm gonna kill you," and like, what the fuck? Like, just because he got an answer right over him, like, it just did not make sense.
Yeah. One of the
we're not in high school. Both
now, yeah.
All of us here are roughly 30 and up, almost ish, right? And so we haven't been in high school for 10, 15 years plus. And
right.
So maybe this is the cool thing now in high school. This is how, if you get an answer right over somebody else,
Well, it's also a STEM school. So it's they're all really intelligent, which I wasn't sure. We knew about that. Tim, talked about it on one of our comic movie Mark News segments. Tim, kind of enlightened us and said, oh, they're going to be at a STEM school. And it was. So everyone there is intelligent, but it was done so differently. And I don't think they did enough to kind of show, like, why is Ned and Peter, why are they outcasts? Why are they nerdier and losers compared to everyone else who's super nerdy? Like, I guess in this super intelligent nerdy school,
right,
they still have cliques, I guess. Like that's what they were trying to show, but I don't think they did a very good job at showing that. So that was kind of one of the things that left me like, all right, well, I don't know.
Yeah, I actually do agree with you on that. Really, I thought about that with Tom Holland. Like, this is gonna sound superficial of me, but like I remember thinking like, Tom Holland, he's like a very good looking guy who was like, super ripped. I was like, I don't believe he would be like the unpopular nerd at this school. Like, I think naturally he would probably run with like the cool crowd. So like, I found that like a little unbelievable. Like, and again, I know we've already talked that we've stroked Tom Holland's dick enough in this podcast, so I'm not gonna talk about the him being a great actor anymore. Like, we all know he did a great job, but I will say that'd be a cool thing. They probably never pulled it off because in Hollywood sex sells, so you're always gonna cast like good looking people. But I think it would be cool if they actually cast a nerdy, not good looking person to play Peter Parker, because again, it'd be more realistic. If it's like an unpopular nerd who like becomes Spider-Man, like then he probably wouldn't look like Tom Holland. And then you wouldn't be distracted or because you wouldn't think like, oh, Tom Holland probably wouldn't be a nerd in this school. So I actually do agree with you on that. Ned, maybe I saw it, but I also agree with you that I didn't like the character of Ned because Ned to me felt like he didn't feel like a real person to me. He felt like a movie character who was just like, like the loud person who like, in the gym when he's like, oh, Peter knows Spider-Man. It's like, dude, in real life, you probably wouldn't have a friend like that who would do that. And if you did, you'd be like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, you would be
I just told you
crazy. Like, it would make you question your friendship with someone if your friend would actually do that.
Right, and I feel like they tried to build a little bit of sympathy for him when he's like, oh, you left me hanging, we're still losers, or whatever, to, because Spider-Man was trying to do some other shit, like, at the party. And my thought was, well, you're the fucking one who caused this issue. Yeah. So I don't feel sympathy for you at all. And yeah, very well put that Ned is just more of a movie character and less relatable and and more of like a human being.
And kind of all the other characters, all this other one, this academic and decathlon type thing or whatever it was. Like, I just didn't, even the Liz character, like, she just kind of gave the same look all the time. She'd flip her hair and kind of give you this look, like, this is important to me, I think I read this in a book that we should, and she just kind of was, again, I get these are smart people, and this is that, so that's not things we would hang out with, but, yeah, but it just kind of felt like, all right, this is, like, kind of forced, they're trying to show that these are really antisocial nerds, like, they just don't understand physical or like social interaction and stuff. It just, okay, we get the point. You don't have to keep pushing it. Like, she read in a book that we should have good camaraderie before a decathlon. Like, right. No, you should just go hang out, and then you don't have to say that you read that in a book. That's like one, that's not funny. Two, that's not. Okay, you're smart, but you're not that fucking stupid. Like, but so that was kind of like pushing it. And then you had like the social justice chick. Like, she didn't want to go into the Washington Monument because it was built by slaves and stuff. Yeah. And then, like, security guard gives them the, Yeah, right.
I thought that part was actually kind of funny.
And it was just like, okay.
I
and she
enjoyed that part.
and she's just like, and she's constantly trying to be the nonconformist. Yeah. She was just like an updated emo kid to me.
I didn't mind her character too much. I thought it was interesting that, she says, oh, my friends call me MJ.
Yeah, that was stupid.
At the end. So I'm going to get into...
Wait, you thought that was stupid? Why did you think that was stupid?
Because it was just forced Easter egg. Like, she's not Mary Jane. Right. And, like, we don't even know her last name. We just know she's Michelle.
No, wait, whoa. Dude, she's definitely Mary Jane.
Well, she said her name was Michelle.
Yeah, like, but I think that was I thought that was them just, like,
swerving us? Taking
some artistic, liberty,
no,
like, changing.
This is just like Batman or Dark Knight Rises, where the guy's, I forgot the actor's name, is Robin.
Right, Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. His name is Robin. Yeah. Like they just did that as a throw-out name as an Easter egg.
Yeah. Oh, you should go by your real name instead of Dick, or or Richard.
Way to really emphasize that.
Yeah, instead of old Dick or Richard, like finding out that that's his real name and going, oh shit, he's probably Robin. She's like, oh yeah, like, okay, his actual name is Robin. Yeah. And then he turns out he finds the Batcave and shit like that. Yeah, I kind of took it like that too.
We don't know her last name. We just know her as Michelle. Like,
I think they threw out the last name.
Oh, maybe
at the when he said that she's the leader or something like that, and then that's when she said, "Oh, my friends just call me MJ." Well, you don't have any friends, or something like that.
Yeah, so she's not going to be the MJ of the storyline. They're probably going to have a Mary Jane Watson eventually.
Maybe. I don't know. So
Maybe.
Fascinating. I really thought that she was just gonna play the Mary Jane character, but her name would be Michelle Jane or whatever.
that's a possibility moving forward. A lot of people speculated that she was Mary Jane, and maybe that they just changed it, like you said, for artistic purposes.
I mean, that's a huge, like, I don't care what color she is and her hair and stuff like that. She doesn't have to be a redhead, but to make her like this emo, nonconformist, social justice chick that's like flipping him off for no reason and shit, like just because he can, like I do that, but just because she can, like I don't know how that's going to be a possible love interest in the future movies, even though she does seem to have like an obsession. She tries to say she doesn't, but it just kind of seems like I don't know how this character, because one, she wasn't even in the movie that much, and when she was just kind of this like she was trying to be like the opposite of everybody type character. So it's really hard for me to see that character, from what we've seen now, be turned into a possible love interest down the road.
That was a really forced line too, which I guess it was supposed to be the setup for a possible love interest, when she says, you know, they're doing I think they're practicing for the decathlon, and she says something about, oh no, he quit the band or something. Oh, not that I know, I'm not obsessed with him or anything. Like, okay, like you had to, that was a kind of a forced line. I guess my biggest gripe, and I don't even know if it's a negative, it's just left me kind of like wondering about the movie, was the unfamiliarity as far as like the characters. And I agree, not having a origin story fits. We definitely shouldn't have had that, but you don't have the origin story. Mary Jane isn't in there, neither is Gwen Stacy. Mary Jane apparently is a little bit different. You have Ned, who is kind of his sidekick. You have Flash, who's not really Flash. Then you have the suit itself, which was completely different than any other Spider-Man that we've seen. So there was a lot in there that, to me, I was just kind of like taken back a little bit, and it's taken me a little bit to process how much I like it. And I said this to Matt afterwards, and he said, well, you know, you can't say that because of the, you know, comparisons to Man of Steel. That's what a lot of people felt, is that they're
not my Superman,
right? Yeah, and I don't really compare the two. I feel like, you know,
I didn't say you couldn't say that. I'm just saying there's that argument.
Yeah,
like
there is for sure. But I felt like there was so much more in this that was different. I think that's what, and it's, I misspoke and said that it was a gripe, but it was a big hang up that I'm not sure about. I'm not sure if I liked it or I didn't like it. There was just so much that was different, and I felt that the suit helped him so much more than the previous Spider-Mans, that I'm like, man, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. And the stuff was awesome. It was cool. You know, had some comedic moments that I thought were pretty funny.
Yeah, that's kind of what I felt the suit was really there. That whole thing with the suit was more for comedic elements.
Yeah.
Kept changing the web.
Right, yeah.
The instant kill mode or whatever it was.
Yeah, which was cool. It was funny. It worked, but it was just so different. You know, it was so like, okay, he usually just has his webs, and, you know, it's the web shooters that he struggles with, and, you know, gets his ass kicked. So there was a lot in there that kind of left me. I think it's going to take me a couple more times to watch it and, you know, determine if I like it or I don't like it. But I will say I'm leaning more towards not liking it. I have a similar opinion to Matt as far as the supporting cast and Ned not really working. And there was just a lot where I'm like, I don't really care for any of these people.
Well, that's good that we actually now have, because the whole time we've kind of been gushing over the same things we like. So it's good that we have some discord here, because on Ned we're on the same page, but with MJ we're not. Like, I actually really like that actress, Zendaya, whatever. I thought, like, all the moments she had, just like Hannibal, she had like not that many moments, but all the moments she had I thought killed. She came off as like more of a real person to me than just like an actor like flipping her hair.
Yeah, I could see that.
And I really think she's MJ. I think moving forward, she is the MJ of the Tom Holland series. I believe that.
Cool. Well, I guess time will tell. it would be a different take. It would be the Jimmy Olsen, as she probably wouldn't die, but
Shocker was the Jimmy Olsen of this one.
Yeah, true. Oh, it's the Shocker. Bam.
Yeah, that's like, we can finally get the Shocker. I've always liked the Shocker from the animated series, and bam, he gets shot. Now we have Shocker 2.
Right.
Shocker dose there.
Yeah. So apparently, I just read this today that this type of school, the type of casting they did, is closely based on the Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon. No. Never seen it. I don't know if it's on Netflix or whatnot. I don't really know, but I've seen a couple things that it was really close to that. The only difference was MJ did have red hair, but Liz was in it, and Flash was bigger. He fit his normal mold, tall.
He was a jock.
Yeah, tall jock. In the cartoon, he's like that too. But Ned is also in the cartoon, I guess. Kind of helps him out. I don't know how the suit is in Spectacular Spider-Man, but I thought that was kind of interesting. So at least it's built off of something, because I wasn't sure if it was going off of a comic book or what. So, that's where I was left of kind of like wondering.
Yeah, this is like this is a deep dive into like the comic book lore, but like, yeah, I think you're exactly right. It was based off that, and then it gets deeper because about like Miles Morales is like also like a Spider-Man, and I think Donald Glover's
Aaron Davis
nephew.
Yeah, that's the
Aaron Davis. Yeah, he was like, I got a nephew in the city. I think that nephew is going to be Miles Morales. If
that was an Easter egg. Yeah.
Yeah, that was an Easter egg, and the Ned thing. Like Ned is also a character who I think he ends up dying some weird death. And
cool.
Flash becomes Agent Venom, right?
Well, usually the jock. Why did I feel like I'm saying it wrong? Anyway, the version that's usually like a jock and stuff like that, he becomes Agent Venom in some of the series. They do take the symbiote, but that one is usually where they actually extract blood from Spider-Man, and the blood becomes this kind of like Dr. Oct fucks with it and makes it become a venom, makes it become a living organism.
Interesting.
And that's how they do that one. But I don't think they'll ever go that far. They're probably going to do the old school Alien.
What ones is that from?
Yeah,
is that from different comic books, or I've never heard that before?
That's from one of the animated Spider-Man series that I've seen. One of the more recent ones.
Okay.
I have no idea if it's a spectacular one or not. I don't remember what it's called, but I've seen that one. I really like that one. It's one of the most recent ones. And now it's like...
Did it have Ned?
No.
Then it probably wasn't spectacular.
No, and the costume wasn't anything special at all, but he did a lot of work with S.H.I.E.L.D. and stuff like that.
Okay. Oh, can we just segue real quick to the costume at the end of the movie? What the Iron Man is going to give him?
No.
It's Iron Spider.
Okay, yeah. Do you think that's the same suit that has like the extra legs that come out?
Yeah, that was the Iron Spider suit.
Okay. Man, that was fucking awesome. I was disappointed when he opens his room door and sees the paper bag, I think this belongs to you. I was disappointed he didn't put that suit on. I'm like, damn it, it's just the generic one.
My last gripe, and this is actually one of my biggest gripes with the movie, and I didn't tell you about this yet, because it annoyed me that they took this away, or he hasn't found it yet. I heard someone say that maybe he hasn't found this ability yet, but there was no spider sense.
Yeah. I heard that wasn't going to be in it because
so did I.
There's a lot of jokes going around because someone, I don't know who it was, but someone was quoted to say, well, he's relied on it too heavily. And then they were making jokes of like, oh, well, Superman isn't going to have super strength or heat vision because he's relied on it too heavily. And and they were kind of so there's a ton of memes that were floating around. But that's what I mean about the unfamiliarity. His spider sense was his suit, basically. She's helping him out, and there's the scene where he's at like the gas station or whatever, and she's kind of helping him scope things out. And so there's just different moments. But that bugged me too.
Yeah, he gets blindsided very easily in this.
Right.
Yeah, and it kind of became a little annoying. I'm like, well, that's kind of what set Spider-Man apart was his agility. His agility with the spider sense. He's able to predict things and see things coming, so he's able to get out of the way. But this one's just going to keep getting ragdolled unless he finds it later on. I've heard someone say that he could find it later on. And maybe it's an untapped thing that he doesn't realize is
in
happening.
The suit.
I don't know. I don't know, but that did kind of annoy me.
Yeah.
So, Bob, I have a couple questions. Or actually, Bob, do you have any other negatives that you want to talk about?
Oh, a bunch. I haven't even gotten into my list yet. So many negatives.
Okay.
Oh, go right ahead.
We're
then.
just getting warmed up.
There was three. I guess I have three main ones here because I know we're already like balls deep into this podcast. I don't want to take up too much time. But, one thing I didn't like that was distracting for me was I wasn't sure if this was supposed to be like a bit or not. So I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts here. But I thought the voice of the suit was like too sexy. And at some point when like there was a point where like Peter was stuck in the underground like shield layer or whatever, and he's like laying on his back talking about his crush, and like the suit is like giving him advice or something, but she was doing it in a voice that was for a second there I was like, is Peter about to fuck the suit? Like I wasn't like it almost sounded like romantic, and it reminded me of what's that movie, like that AI movie, like that computer programmer kid goes to like some like underground layer to do the Turing test. Isn't the thing it's called?
Ex Machina.
Yeah, that moment reminded me of Ex Machina, where I was like, it was like a test to see like if Peter could fall in love with like an AI, like because I don't know, whatever. This was not like a big plot hole for me, obviously, but this was like for me, it was like a minor distraction of just like something about this is creepy, and I'm not sure if like they're going for like a creepy, jokey thing or not, because if they're not, it's coming off as like creepy, jokey to me. I don't know how you guys felt about like the voice of the suit.
No, I agree with that. I didn't know it didn't like weigh on the movie or anything, but I did notice that she wasn't as like she didn't have like this friendly like Jarvis type voice. She had more of like a sexy type thing, and even when she says, "Go on, Peter, kiss her," you know, at like the
this is your moment.
Yeah, this is your moment or whatever. At like the elevator, I was like, "Oh, that is kind of weird." And then I don't know why, but it bugged me that her name was like Karen or something is what he names her when he's like, "Oh, I shouldn't keep calling you Suit Lady. I should give you another name." And then he rattles off all these names. He's like Karen, or I'm
sure that's an Easter egg.
I think it's Karen, maybe.
I'm sure that's an Easter egg.
So I was like, all right, well, that's random.
I don't know if any of you guys have ever seen this. I don't think you have, but the Rooster Teeth guys, they did a kind of a parody dub thing with Halo. And they were having the Halo guys, and they would use the Halo characters, and then they would give them voices and stuff like that. Anyway, they had a tank, and they named the tank, and they had the tank talk.
Hello, and thank you for activating the N808V main battle tank. You may call me Sheila.
Hello, Sheila, big tank lady.
Would you like me to run the tutorial program?
Oh, that'd be very nice. Thank you.
Tutorial program activated. This program is intended to instruct non-certified personnel in the use of this Scorpion-class tank. Let's begin with some driving.
That, and it was like the same exact voice. Like,
Really?
I'll plug in the voice here.
Okay.
It's almost the same voice, and it totally reminded me of that, because she does similar things like that. Like, she gets uploaded into one of the dude's heads or helmets or something like that, and they have the voice talking. Almost the same voice.
Wow.
But I thought it was dead on. I thought it was dead on, and that's totally what it reminded me of, was that moment.
Yeah, like, so I don't know if they're going for motherly, but it didn't come off as motherly for me. It came off as, like sexy. And so, yeah, that moment you're talking about, Shane, when the suit was like kiss her, Peter. I was like, is there about to be a threesome between, like, Peter, the girl, and the suit?
She's like,
she puts the mask on.
Yeah, I was going to say, leave the mask on, though. I want to feel it.
I record everything.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was another creepy moment. I was like, I record everything. So I was like, okay, so you watched him jerk off a bunch of times? Like, it was...
Right. I think that's what they were kind of alluding to. Yeah, I'm almost positive, because the look on his face was like, oh shit. That's almost what it seemed like, a 15-year-old kid.
Spider nut.
Oh man.
Keep going. What's your gripes?
Yeah, okay, so these are minor gripes, and then that'll lead into, like, the main plot gripe for me. But these are all minor gripes. Another minor gripe... I guess now we're leading into, like, more of a major gripe. No, this is more of a minor gripe. This is a mid-level gripe, if you will.
Mid-level, all right, the build.
A mid-level gripe, as we're building up to, like, my main gripe. The mid-level gripe, I feel like there was, like, a lack of consequences for Peter's behavior. Like, in real life, if you went on, like, a high school trip to DC for, like, a quiz bowl or whatever... and, like, one of the students is missing, I do not believe you would just hop on the bus and go to the quiz bowl and do the quiz bowl while there is literally a student missing. Like, I think that would, like, call the cops, like, pause the tournament, like, there's this, like, do Amber Alerts. Like, shit would go crazy if, like, a kid was missing. And, like, I feel like that is just, like, glossed over.
Right. Well, they even did the joke. They even did the joke with the teacher. He's like, I'm glad we didn't lose a student. And it zooms in on his face. Again.
Yeah. For that.
Right.
Which is a good joke, and that got a laugh in the theater, but, like, and that was after the fact, so maybe that's why maybe the joke worked. I don't know, but, like, because if it was during the fact, then it just would have been, like, yeah, I don't know. I thought that was distracting for me. It didn't, like, ruin the movie, but, like, it was distracting enough to where, I was distracted, if you will.
Yeah, no, I can see that for sure. I didn't really notice it until he made the joke of it.
Yeah.
And then when he made the joke, I was like, yeah, that's a good point. Like, he just kind of goes off and...
gloss over this kid just not being around at all.
Right, yeah.
Never being around, not being on the elevator, not being in the decathlon thing.
Right.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, I didn't even think about that. You just took it one step further. I was just thinking, like, they would just do Amber Alerts and call the cops and not even, like, just cancel the decathlon thing. But they went one step further. They were actually out partying after the decathlon, and Peter's, like, still missing. Like, that's...
Right. Yeah.
All right, whatever. That's one thing. But again, that didn't really ruin the movie for me. But one thing that kind of ruined the movie for me, that's dramatic. It didn't ruin the movie for me because overall I enjoyed it. But one thing that just made it like, because of this, I can't consider this like an amazing movie like I do like, Sicario or something. I just fundamentally didn't believe that the Avengers or Tony Stark or whatever, or Happy, would be that incompetent with their shit. Like,
Right.
it was too unbelievable for me that that Michael Keaton could hack the plane and divert it. The plane has crazy shit on it. If the plane just had like minor shit, like fucking new shoes for like Black Widow or something, like okay,
Right.
like I'd maybe believe it is low security. But that thing had like Thor's belt on it. That thing had like all of like Iron Man's energy cores on it. Like that was like a crazy ship. And I just do not believe in a world where there are drone Iron Men like flying about whenever Tony Stark needs them. Like, he had a drone Iron Man save Spider-Man when he was drowning. He had Iron Man like was just on call to like save the ship. Like, he has fleets of fucking Iron Man sitting around. 1,000%, I believe, like, that ship would be just, transported with, like, 5 Iron Man flying along it. That was, like, really distracting for me to the point where I was like, Happy should be fired. He is that incompetent. It was, like, that distracting for me. So I just didn't believe that whole moment could happen. So, unfortunately, kind of the whole climax of the movie, I was like, obviously I was enjoying it. Cool action scenes, whatever. But, like, a part of me was kind of not in it, because the whole time I was thinking, I was like, where the fuck is Iron Man right now? Like, how is this? I just don't believe this would be happening, and so it kind of took me out of the moment.
Yeah, that's one of my notes actually that I just got back down to. I was like, because there was people bitching about Iron Man possibly being in this movie too much, and it could be Iron Man 4 or something like that. And then it turns out he really wasn't in the movie that much. But I put Iron Man wasn't in it as much, which is good. But his presence didn't feel natural. And then I put who buys Avengers Tower. Like, because they were getting moved out and shit like that. I was like, who buys Avengers Tower? And he's like, oh, he sold Avengers Tower. What? Who the fuck buys it? And just all of his stuff felt very unnatural. It felt very forced. Like, he was talking about, it's a drone, it's a flying suit. And then his shit just gets flown out of there with the cores, the belt. Like, he was just talking about, it just felt so like it was so forced that he was even involved in the story sometimes.
Right.
It was trying to be this mentor thing, but it was just, nah.
Yeah, well, and he has the tracking on him to show up the one time to save the boat conveniently, but the other time when it's in the water, it's I guess, is there an Iron Man suit constantly flying around him? Like, how does he know that he's in trouble? To your point, I actually noticed that a couple times where, if you have these guys who are trying to create weapons using the alien technology, why would you just call the FBI? Or as FBI.
Yes.
I noticed that where I'm like, dude, that makes no sense.
Right.
You're just saving money on Avenger characters.
I'm gonna wait out here, okay? It's a big house. It's funny that I only ever see 2 of you. It's almost like the studio couldn't afford another X-Man.
Yeah.
Basically, and he's like, oh, I had it handled. That's why I called the FBI. What? That makes no fucking sense. So I definitely noticed that as well. And like you said, the final scene was awesome, great action scenes and stuff, but I noticed that as well, and not that I was expecting Iron Man suits, but that's a great point. I expected something a little bit more security than the invisibility, and I guess they were just counting on that, and Happy even says, Happy says at the end, he's like, oh, you saved my job, or whatever, I need this, or something like that to Spider-Man, so I guess they kind of recognized it, but at the same time, it's like, dude, if, like you said, if you have all this valuable shit, and you have half of the Avengers at least, how come some of them aren't fucking, escorting this thing to where it needs to go? Like, it seemed really weird and kind of convenient. And like what Matt was saying, as far as the Iron Man parts, they were just convenient when he would show up here, but not show up at this point. And it was a little forced.
Well, another thing to kind of point out what he was talking about, like hacking, like it seems like it's real easy to hack Stark stuff, because then the kid, Ned or whatever, hacks the suit. He's able to fix the suit to take off the training wheels. Yeah. And all he has to do is just peel that little tracer thing off with a pair of tweezers. Right. And it's just like, okay.
Tears it open. Yeah.
It was, all right, moving the story along. Gotcha. Yeah. All right, moving things along.
Yeah, I agree. Because, the Stark technology is absurd. I think there are scenes where, like, iron suits are created out of, like, briefcases. That technology is unreal. So, like, yeah, exactly. I don't believe any of that shit. And, yeah, I think, like, at least fucking Vision would just be like flying along that ship as it's just like flying upstate, because that's a short flight. It wouldn't be too much of a feature for Vision to just like fly along that ship for like probably a half an hour from New York City to like upstate New York. So yeah, that whole scene was annoying to me. And Something else that was like, which just to wrap up this topic, like it actually made me think the Avengers were like dumb and irresponsible. And Tony Stark, I get it, maybe it's just like it's Hollywood and they can't afford the Avengers characters to be in this movie, but like it made me think like they're crazy irresponsible, which almost made me like side with Vulture, because when Vulture's like, why do these people just are the ones that with the technology and only them have it and like we have to trust them or whatever. There's a comment Tony made in the movie of just like, Spider-Man's like, well, why aren't you guys like doing more? And Tony Stark's like, oh, this shit's like below our pay grade. Really?
Right.
These are the aliens that almost took over New York City in the first Avengers movie, like that destroyed New York City, but New York City gets destroyed every other week, so I guess not a big deal in that universe. But like, the aliens fly down and there's like alien technology that are like little mini nuclear bombs or whatever flying around, and it's below your pay grade. You can't be bothered with it. What the fuck are you bothered with then?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
like,
exactly. Then you just wait for other aliens to show up. Like, what are you doing?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, there's literally a guy flying around with the alien technology, blowing shit up, like lasers, like, and that's below your pay grade. It's like, well, I
you call the FBI.
And segue into that scene, I was a little disappointed. It wasn't like a huge plot hole, like it didn't ruin the movie for me, but I was a little disappointed. Again, keeping with the theme of like Spider-Man being like an inexperienced kid, so like he didn't handle, he made mistakes in that setting, which kind of fucked up the ship. But when he like stole the gun and the gun kind of like exploded and like lasers were shooting everywhere that split the ship in two, I was disappointed that no one died, or at least no one got hurt, and I found it unbelievable, like on a packed ship where laser beams were flying in all directions, cutting through metal, and eventually splitting the ship in half, that no one died, or at the very least, no one got hurt. Like, I thought that would have been, maybe death would have been too much for, like, this early on in Peter Parker's career. Like, if he had, like, an innocent death on his hands, maybe that would be, like, too dark for him at this point. But I think it would have been cool if, like, someone got seriously hurt. Like, it showed some guy who, like, lost his arm or leg, some innocent guy or something. Like, and then it would show, like, the consequences of your impulsive actions. Like, instead of just being a 15-year-old impulsive and just jumping into a dangerous situation, you should, like, I guess, like, let the FBI handle it, which was absurd. But anyway, I thought it was a little unbelievable to me. Like, they kind of glossed it over because as Peter Parker's sitting there before he loses his suit, Tony starts, like, yelling at him for, again, being, like, impulsive and not yet adult to be an Avenger. And Tony Stark's like, oh, well, luckily no one got hurt. I remember thinking, like, really? Like, alien gun just exploded on a packed ship full of people, and the boat split into two, and nobody got hurt? Like, bullshit.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I actually noticed that as well, because I made the comment, it looks like one guy drowns. Or there's a possibility he could drown. When the ship is splitting and the cars are coming out, a car, like, goes right over this guy, and he's in the water.
Yeah, that's the Gargan character. That's Scorpion. That's why his face is all fucked up, because he gets knocked into the water.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't notice that part, but
I'm pretty sure that's him.
Okay. What I was thinking is, oh shit, people are actually dying on this, and I thought the same exact thing. And then as soon as Tony says that, it completely discredits everything. You don't have to show people getting sliced in half. Just leave it up to the viewer. Kids aren't going to notice. And then, and then for us, we may get into the scene a little bit more because fucking people died. And then, like you said, when Tony Stark has that one line, that stood out to me too. I was like, dude, you just totally, okay, out of all of that, no one died, no one got hurt.
Right.
Like that makes no sense. And I completely agree with you.
On one note, since you're in New York City, I wanted to bring up a couple things. One, how did you think the movie looked? Like, you probably don't see it from a helicopter view all the time or something like that. But like, did you think they represented the city well?
Well, yeah, it's all like pretty accurate. Like whenever they do New York City shots, like it does look like New York City. But I will say about this movie, which was fascinating, most of it didn't take place in Manhattan. Like it took place in suburbs. It took place like in Long Island, the suburbs. It took place like in Queens, where he's from. Like there weren't really like any Manhattan shots, which I thought was pretty cool. Like because it kind of gives the franchise room to grow and other areas to explore in the future. But yeah, in general, like these New York shots, like. It is like what New York looks like the Avengers movie, when like they're having that main fight in that main like avenue. Like, yeah, that's like right in front of like Grand Central. Like, it's geographically accurate for sure. And even that boat was geographically accurate. Like, that boat is like exactly what the Staten Island Ferry looks like. I take it all the time.
Perfect segue.
Cool.
Perfect segue, because I wanted to bring something up to you. I clicked on this thing like an idiot because the Spider-Man director said that Homecoming has one real big flaw. And this is what he said the flaw was. The only real flaw is that in our movie, there are cars on the ferry, and there haven't been cars allowed since the 90s. So I'll declare that in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they never had these rules. That's his flaw with the movie, is that there was cars on the ferry.
Nice.
Yeah, I've been on the ferry a bunch of times, and I have never noticed cars now I think about it, but I just always assumed maybe the cars were like below deck or some shit. I never really thought about it.
So,
but the ferry looks like that. It's like the same color, the same kind of layout. So I thought it was like real, but interesting. Yeah, I didn't think about that with the cars. I wonder. Yeah, fascinating.
Ooh, now you're gonna go look for cars.
Yeah.
No, I was about to say why would they even add cars then, but now I know why, because that's like where like the
Right,
weapons
yeah,
are being held.
plot point.
So
Right.
there was one other thing to wrap it up. Yeah, no, the main plot distraction for me was just like I didn't believe they'd be that careless with the plane. Someone not getting hurt in the boat was a big thing. Then the consequences. I think that pretty much hits it for like my gripes. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, well, those are all really good points.
Yeah.
That's why we bring you on.
So one last little thing that I just want to talk about, some of the Easter eggs and then the after credit scene. So some of the Easter eggs that I noticed anyway. So you have Gargan character who is Scorpion in the comics, and he even has to make really pointed out to you. He's got a scorpion on his neck,
Right.
So you really know. And I thought that was a cool way that they, with the after credit scene, they used to build up the possible next villain,
Right.
of the Spider-Man series.
Is that what that was in an after credit scene?
Yeah,
I couldn't remember the first one, so that had to be it.
When
Yeah.
he sees him in jail, and then like he said earlier, there's Thor's belt, which I have no idea what the significance of that is.
Me neither.
So, but there's Thor's belt, and then we already talked about this. Aaron Davis.
Do you know about Thor's belt?
No, yeah, I didn't know anything about that.
Oh, okay.
It was just something Thor's belt. So, and then like we also talked about, Aaron Davis is the uncle of Miles Morales. So that's another little Easter egg. The Ferris Bueller thing was another Easter egg. I thought the end scene was kind of a little Deadpool-esque, kind of a little bit of a fourth wall wink and nod type thing.
Yeah.
At the end. And then another thing that was kind of passed over that I haven't really heard anybody talk about was Happy says that there's a Captain America's prototype shield is being put on there.
I saw that.
One, what's wrong with the old one? And two, why the fuck after Civil War would Iron Man be building a Captain America prototype shield?
Oh, he forgave him after the letter.
Oh, I'm sorry. The letter and the flip phone.
Yeah.
The letter and the flip phone. Everything's better again.
Yep, we are good.
And they say Martha was dumb. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just like that little addition. Yeah.
Fuckers.
So talk about the after credit scenes. I kind of already did.
Oh, wait, sorry, before we move on. But yeah, like just to clarify, because what's the name of that? What's the name of the metal? The vibranium or something?
Yeah. Yeah.
The metal. Oh, the name of the metal. Yeah, it's vibranium. Yeah.
Vibranium.
Yeah, vibranium is like it comes from like Wakanda, and yeah, he took away the shield, forgave him, and yeah, I thought that was like a Black Panther kind of like segue a bit, like they're gonna maybe some cool new shit coming out of Wakanda. That's what I took it as. I was like, maybe
that could be
a nod to the new Black Panther coming up.
Yeah, but Black Panther's on Cap's side because they're housing Bucky. Why would he give Iron Man? I don't know. This is that whole thing,
bro.
It's like Civil War never even fucking happened. Other than that little camera, that little selfie shit that they did, which was kind of cool.
Yeah,
I like what they did in the beginning there when they were showing that the Peter Parker film.
Oh,
the vlog.
Especially having preteens. Yeah, they would fucking do that.
Yeah.
so I laughed at it, but also shook my head because I was like, that's too accurate.
Yeah. It's too dead on. That's creepy.
Yeah, in today's age, they would definitely be like, "Oh, I'm gonna fucking film this. I don't care if I can't show it to anyone."
Yeah. So in the after credit scenes, we have, like I talked about, we have Gargan possibly getting be the next villain, and like I said, I think Vulture didn't tell him who it was because he wanted to kill him, but
I like that better.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with that. Who knows?
And then we have the final after credit scene with Captain America talking about patience, and which was cool. I like the little wink and nod that they did to it. I felt it was a little Deadpool-esque, looking at the audience and telling you stuff like that. But once again, it kind of got ruined by the person next to me, which she would not.
Oh my gosh,
it was way overkill.
Yes.
I'm like, it was funny, but it wasn't that funny. Woman, calm down, breathe.
Yeah,
breathe.
The lights came on. The last after credit scene happens. then the scene or the screen goes blank, the lights come on, she's still laughing.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I meant early on when we were talking, when I said I feel like some of it was for show,
right? That
she wanted attention, because I was like, why are you still laughing? Like that seems obnoxious, and it wasn't that funny, and even her laugh wasn't like this belly laugh. It was like a like cackle. You said, a hyena cackle type, where I'm like, come on, that's way too forced. So,
and then even they did still a little bit more of Deadpool stuff, because there was like this little animated stuff of Spider-Man, just like the Deadpool shit.
Right, yeah.
So it seemed like to me, I mean, it's not stealing, it's just kind of benefiting from things, and from the original source, Yeah. So, all right, I think let's give our scores and our summaries of the movie. Shane, go first.
Okay. So yeah, overall I enjoyed it. There were definitely some plot holes, some that actually brought the movie down a little bit, as far as like what Mike Bob talked about, the consequences. But there was a lot that I did like. I liked the action scenes, the acting was really good, phenomenal in certain parts. I loved Tom Holland. I loved Michael Keaton. And if you go back to me discussing, or to us discussing, the original Spider-Man trilogy, one of my biggest gripes was it felt very CW-esque. So it was a nice breath of fresh air. Not that I expected any less from the MCU, but yeah, overall it was pretty solid. My score is right in line with I think Guardians of the Galaxy 2, 3.6 out of 5.
Okay. Hey, Mike Bob, go ahead.
Yeah, I wonder, as I'm thinking about my score, I wonder if it's going to be negatively affected due to just like saturation. We're just flooded now with superhero movies. So I feel like I see like a new one every other month. Like, I wonder if this was like the first Spider-Man, if I'd be giving it a higher score right now, and I'd be a lot more excited. But since it's like the 20th Spider-Man and like the 100th superhero movie,
right?
I just, going into this movie, I found myself less excited about it. I think just because of saturation. There's just so many movies out right now. And I feel like I saw Wonder Woman like a week ago, which, by the way, I thought was fantastic.
Cool.
But so for this Spider-Man, yeah, I'm gonna rate it a little higher than Shane, because it definitely has plot holes. But I loved how it accurately portrayed like a teenager in a teenager's world, especially with the opening Peter Parker film. I loved just like how, same reason I loved Rogue One, that it was sort of like a side story to a main story. I loved how it kind of started off as like, the side story being Peter Parker's experience during like the Civil War thing. I thought that was so fucking cool. And it did a great job of just showing this like high schooler's life and like a inexperienced young Spider-Man. So I'm gonna, the pros of them doing a good job with Tom Holland being a teenager, for me, outweigh any of like the plot hole cons. So I'll rate it a little higher than Shane. And I'll give it like a, I'll give it a 4 out of 5.
Wow! All right.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it.
That's cool.
The way this was going down, I thought you were going to be lower than us, but I guess I'm going to be the low one. Okay. So to kind of summarize, one, I called it. I want to just say that right now, that when we did our Movie Marks News and we broke down the second trailer, I believe, of this, that I felt this series totally Batman versus Superman itself with the trailers, and showed the movie throughout the time period, basically first, second, and third act. And it did for the most part. The trailers pretty much called it and just how it was going to go down. I mean, there was great parts in between it, so that really helped it, and that really pushed things farther. The Vulture was fantastic. Also, to talk about the trailers, though, they had a couple scenes in the trailers that weren't in this.
Yeah.
There was the part where they showed in that first trailer where it shows Spider-Man swinging along and Iron Man flying right next to him. That did not happen in this movie. There was never that moment.
I saw this image today that someone plucked out all the moments from the trailers. Some of them I was like, okay, well, I could care less about those. Especially, apparently, he starts to kiss Liz at the homecoming dance, and that I think would have drugged the movie down a little bit as far as like sticking too much to the dance instead of what the focus of what it should have been. So I was glad that wasn't in there. But yeah, when I think the image or the Instagram photo had like 8 different images of scenes that were not included, and I think someone included the dialogue, like the bank scene. The dialogue had changed a little bit,
right?
So it was different.
Wait, Matt, sorry, but before you give your score, I really want to double down on what you just said. There was actually a point that bothered me. You just reminded me. I don't have cable. I watch my TV usually through Netflix, so I don't really see like trailers too often. And I make a point to like avoid trailers on the internet because I just want to go into the movie and just see it and not be ruined by the trailers. But I will say, I remember seeing that image a lot of Spider-Man webbing with Iron Man flying beside him. That wasn't in the movie, as you just said. And I'm actually pissed about that because that actually kind of fucked up the final climactic scene for me. Because as the final climactic scene was taking place, I was like, this must be the final scene because there's like a lot of shit going down right now. But I just had that image in my head of that trailer, so I was like, oh, maybe this is like the penultimate scene, and this is going to be some sort of plane crash scene, and then there's going to be like one more final scene with like that Iron Man and Spider-Man image. And so since I was anticipating that trailer image, it actually made me like kind of be out of like not appreciate the climax scene as the climax scene. So I was actually kind of pissed about that.
Yeah, now you are.
Well, didn't you have the same feeling when we came out that you were kind of pissed? You're like, man, I was expecting that, and
yeah, I thought maybe that's how the movie was going to end. Was going to be him putting the suit on, maybe Tony shows up, and I thought that was going to show them taking off.
Right.
Like, and I was like, Sony did it again. They showed the very end of the movie in the trailer again, like they did with the Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
I thought that's how it was going to end, but no, it ended with the Aunt May joke with the what the fuck, and gets cut out.
Yeah.
And so that's how that ended. I was like, what? Okay, so they didn't even show that. All right, whatever. So, but they did the trailers though. The 2 trailers that were very popular and that were out online. They basically told the story, the Spider-Man story, and I thought the trailers kind of ruined it again. But that's just, I guess, how movies are going to roll now, you know, especially with the MCU. The MCU loves showing all their best moments in the trailer now.
Yeah.
With the Thor Ragnarok trailer. So, I mean,
kind of sucks.
Yeah. It was definitely a negative. I kind of forgot some of my other shit now. I want to continue again. The Vulture was definitely the best part. The side characters, I thought the kids and everything were kind of annoying. They got obnoxious. Maybe it's just because I'm an old man and I haven't been in high school in a long time and I don't really hang out with anybody that's younger than me necessarily, right. So maybe that's my issue with it, but I just thought they were...
And we're not smart enough to go to a STEM school, so...
Yeah. So I just thought they were kind of a waste. I thought maybe the high school setup was okay, but that whole homecoming high school setup was a little bit of a waste for me because I didn't think it really provided anything other than anxiety moments for Peter because he couldn't fulfill his duties and shit like that. That was okay, but again, the humor was hit or miss sometimes for me on this one. But overall, I think I give it the same score that I gave the Spider-Man 2, the Doctor Octopus one, which I think they're both about the same. I probably would watch both. You know, they both have their flaws and they both have their negatives. But 3.3 out of 5 marks is my score.
Wow, fascinating.
Hard to please.
Did you guys do a Wonder Woman podcast?
Yes,
we did.
What were your scores?
Pretty fucking high.
I think we both gave it 3.9, or you gave it 4.0.
Yeah, I think I gave it 4.0 or 4.1, and you were 4.
I was 3.9.
Okay, so then I think I was like 4.0 or 4.1.
Wait, you're okay. I need examples of like what are closer to 5s for you guys, because like your scores are like I can't calibrate your scores because like Wonder Woman, I gave this a 4, but just to give like a benchmark, like I would give Wonder Woman like a 4.8. Like I thought Wonder Woman was like almost flawless.
No, yeah, that's fair. So for me, it's kind of funny because it's more as I watch movies continuously that I learn to love and appreciate them. So Batman v Superman, I think my original score was like 4 or something like that, 4.1 maybe. Yeah, I think it was 4.1, and then Civil War was 3.1. And then it slowly has gone up, especially with the Ultimate. I think this was the Ultimate Edition. Maybe it wasn't. The 4.1, but anyways, so it's slowly gone up as I've watched them. Same thing with Rogue One, and this is just more in my mind, less of of recording. But Rogue One was a prime example of something. I think I gave it like a 3.7, 3.6, and I remember you giving it like a 4 or 4.1, Mike Bob, and as I've watched it again since then, I've enjoyed and started to really love that movie, so my score has gone up. So that's how they get closer to 5s. I guess it's tough for me when I first watch a movie. There's so much kind of coming at you that there's some negatives and some positives, but I could see Wonder Woman for sure getting up to that point.
So like if you think about in comic book status, right now my comic book scores, my top like 3 would be like Logan, The Dark Knight, and possibly like Deadpool or Man of Steel in that area. That's my mid 4s because I think I gave Logan like a 4.5.
Yeah, I think I was up there too, like 4, 4.5.
You know, Dark Knight I'd probably give about a 4.5, 4.4. I probably at the same range. Man of Steel I believe I gave a 4.3. And so that's kind of where I'm at on that. I don't believe a movie's ever that great. I mean, like if you go outside the comic book world, like if you go like fucking Sicario or some of the John Wick movies, I think I've given those higher scores.
Yeah, John Wick was up there.
Yeah, those are different types of movies and not comic book movies. So you kind of
haven't seen that.
What the fuck is wrong with you? I already told you.
I know, I really gotta see
phenomenal.
it.
Both of them are just fantastic.
Well, that's good that you're saying like comic book genre, because I always do movies about genre. So like, I'm not going to compare Spider-Man to Sicario, like just they're different genres. But like, so
that's a great example.
Wonder Woman is like a 4.8. I'm saying Wonder Woman's like a 4.8 on like the comic book scale. But actually, I guess I have to lower it because I do think I agree with everything you just said. I thought Logan was amazing. I thought Dark Knight was amazing. But I thought Wonder Woman was on par with those movies. So yeah, I guess I am that high on those movies.
Yeah, no, we both had great. We really liked Wonder Woman. I mean, there were some good points. I've watched it again, but my second viewings never hold up very well. So I was a little tad bit bored. I think I may have fell asleep to the end a little bit.
Wonder Woman?
Yeah,
wow.
To the end there a little bit. So because I don't know, my second viewings never do well.
No, they don't.
never, ever do they do well. So sometimes I'm sketchy. Sometimes I'm watching a movie the second time.
Have you seen Logan twice?
Yeah, that's the only one that's held up.
I haven't seen it twice yet, but I really want to. I loved Logan. Like Logan might be my number one superhero movie.
Yeah, that's kind of what my fight is like between the Dark Knight and Logan is really up there. Deadpool kind of comes close in there.
Yeah.
Man of Steel is not too far behind.
For me, I'm up there with they're different. They're different type of movies as far as Logan and Man of Steel. But
I kind of warp them all together.
Yeah, but there's so much more that Logan can do that you can't get out of it. Same thing like with Deadpool. That's tough.
Get away with more.
Yeah, and I enjoy that more. So it's hard to like compare like Deadpool breaking the fourth wall. The humor is fantastic in that. So it's hard. Like not every superhero movie can do that. So but like you said with the genres, I gave Baywatch a 3.5, and it was I totally had to preface it with look. I'm just saying that as for a comedy, a shitty immature comedy, it's a 3.5. But it doesn't, But then we did make the joke of it is better than Doctor Strange, but so
that's kind of where we're at with that.
Yep.
Any other final words, Mike Bob?
No, I feel like this podcast we were all over the place, but I loved it. I think we hit all the good points. Yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm on.
Cool. Yeah, appreciate you you always coming on and adding different points and different opinions that fuck the last one that we did with Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I lowered my score as we were talking. This one it stayed pretty solid, but
I actually raised mine on this one.
Oh, okay. As we were talking?
Yeah, because I was just really picturing those Vulture parts and some of the humor. More humor hit than I thought that did because we were talking about some points.
Yeah.
So it actually went up. And you guys kind of right that maybe him running to the Washington Monument wasn't a continuous running gag. Maybe that was supposed to be more of a like time is ticking type moment. Yeah. So I kind of let that slide a little bit. But yeah, so I kind of was a little bit easier on it this time around than I was. Because I originally was thinking 3 was a 3. That's where I was at originally.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Damn, that was pretty low.
Well, when I walked out of there, I was kind of annoyed by a couple things. So the trailers and then just some other no spider sense, like right off the bat, those things stuck out to me. And so immediately the negatives were kind of overflowing my brain a little bit. And I was just like, fuck that shit. That was not a lot of the humor hit right away. The heckling bitch next to me was just like annoying. And
made the humor not hit. Yeah.
So it kind of became a little taxing. When I first walked out of there, I'm like, this is a bitch is a 3 at best. But as we talked about it, I kind of remembered some things and some things I let some things go, but I kind of raised it back up and I was like, it's a solid Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, well, and that's what I mean as far as like the second viewings of stuff or even as they continued. It depends because there's certain movies I have not seen Doctor Strange a second time.
I did.
Yeah, I can hear the enthusiasm in your voice, but as I watch movies and I'll learn to either appreciate parts more, I won't nitpick parts more, or it'll go completely the other way. So that's my scores kind of evolve, I guess.
Well, we'd like to thank Bob again, Mike Bob from the NYC.
Battle Mike Bob.
Well, you're getting the wrestling entrance here.
Yeah.
Little pyro.
Yeah, I love that name.
You really like that name?
Battle Mike Bob?
Oh, Battle Mike Bob.
Yeah.
But his other name, Battle Bob.
Oh yeah, Battle Bob. Yeah, it works.
I always thought, every time when he first messaged me, when we first talked to me one time, I thought he was a rejected like dollar store action figure. That's what I thought
perfect.
of. I was like, wow, that just sounds like it's probably even misspelled because it's from China.
Right, yeah.
It's only got one T and shit.
Right. Bob is B-A-B.
Yeah. Bob.
So someone apparently is a big fan of Battle Bob on our website, and their name is not Battle Bob or whatever.
Oh yeah.
That's fantastic.
I totally forgot about that. You got little gem in there for you guys.
Yeah, that was awesome.
All right, so make sure you like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube page. We fucking hit 50 subscribers, kids.
Woo!
One in every state. One in every state until Puerto Rico gets fucking in.
Screws us over.
Yeah, we're good for now. So we want to thank everybody. We've been getting interaction on YouTube a lot lately. Almost every video is getting comments. We're filling up the comment section. We're getting likes. So it's slowly progressing. So we're enjoying that. Our downloads are higher than they've ever been before.
Yeah.
Like we said before, the month of June, we had over 1,400 downloads. We're getting people from all over. The states are adding up. The platforms are staying at iOS. So why we haven't gotten more iTunes reviews, I don't get it. You fuckers are lazy. How hard is it?
Yes. Please review us on iTunes.
Yes.
Or if you're an Android user, you can download iTunes onto your desktop and leave us a review there. Please.
Yeah. Make sure you check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We are at 1,700 followers on Instagram.
And climbing.
And just booming away. Everybody's just loving our dick. So, including Bob.
Pretty much.
He's not following us, so.
He's like, I don't give a shit.
No, he doesn't. I asked him, hey, this was like a month ago. Have you listened to the Guardians of the Galaxy one? No, not yet. I'm like, fucking Honey Badger don't give no shits.
Yeah, pretty much.
He gives no fucks.
Oh, man.
He don't give a shit about the podcast he was on. That's why he asked us about a Wonder Woman podcast. Of course we did. We're called Comic Movie Marks. What kind of question was that? So,
Well, thank you again for coming on, Mike Bob.
What's like any upcoming movies that maybe I could pre-book myself for next couple months?
Well, I know it still hasn't gotten an official date yet, but Sicario 2 is supposed to come out this year.
Oh, that could be interesting. That for us to like venture out of the comic book world together. I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready for that next step in our relationship.
Well, we're gonna need to grow, okay?
Yeah.
I'll bring lube, you bring,
right,
and we'll grow together. But I know Sicario 2 is supposed to come out.
I'll bring Karen's voice or whatever her name was.
And we're not quite sure. We might do some retro ones, so we might bring you on for that if you're interested.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that could be cool for sure.
Cool.
Alrighty.
Cool. I feel like there's one more step.
No, I think that was it. We just blew through the plugs.
Cool. In case I don't see you.
Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.